All right, well, thank you all for being here. It's a lovely evening, no rain. You beat that, you know, the way it's been lately. So, at this point, I will consider any changes or additions to the agenda.
I would like to move that we amend the agenda under item 5, add D, add 6. No, 6. Sorry, 6D. We need to add WASDA legislative rep. And it's actually not the WASDA legislative rep, it's just ledge rep for the board.
And a second?
I second.
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We'll go on to the consent agenda. So I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved. A second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, then we're on to swearing in of board members from the November election. Mr. J, you're in charge.
Well, it's certainly an honor to be here this evening with you, and this is a solemn occasion. This is a very important occasion to be on the board of directors for the Eatonville School District. In charge of the voters has been put before you to make sure that we carry out those duties, and so I'm here to swear you in. And so if I could have Travis and Karen please come up. Let's call that as well. Let's have you face probably.
Great, then the background can be beautiful
Yeah.
fireplace.
So
We got it.
what I'll do is I'll have you raise your arm, swear, and then at that point I'll just say I, and then just state your name, and then I'll just say a few words, and then you'll repeat after me until we're finished. Okay. I
Karen Carr.
do hereby solemnly swear
Hereby solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of
of
Washington,
the State of Washington,
and will faithfully discharge
and will faithfully discharge
the duties of Director
the duties of Director
of Eatonville School District 404,
of Eatonville School District 404,
Pierce County,
Pierce County,
State of Washington,
State of Washington,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Welcome on board.
Okay, you guys can take your seat.
Oh, yeah, now you're okay.
Right in here,
Just like
right
that.
into the-
It's like- Yeah, just like that.
Yeah. Don't warm it up. It's dive right in.
There you go. Thank you.
The next item of business is going to be the reorganization of the board. It's an annual thing that we do. And so, we will start, for nominations for board chair.
I'd like to nominate Paula Gilliardi as board chair.
No, any other nominations? Oh, yeah.
I think you need a second, and then you can ask for it. Now can I second?
Mhm.
I second.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. I think.
Let's do a roll call.
Yeah, you have to do a roll call.
Yeah, let's do a roll call.
Oh, that's right, let's do a roll call.
Okay, so Karen Carr? Here.
Do you, aye? Yes, okay, there you go.
Okay, Rhonda?
Aye.
Paulette? No.
Yeah.
Ashley?
Aye.
Travis?
Sorry, forgot.
All right. We're moving on to, the, vice chair.
I nominate Rhonda Litzberger for vice chair.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any other nominations? All right. We'll do the roll call vote.
Okay. Karen Carr,
Aye. Yes, you can say yes.
Paulette Gilliardi,
Aye.
Ashley Silva, Robert Rush.
All right. Moving on to, the WIAA representative to the Board of Directors. It's a 2-year term. So could I hear a motion to,
I move Karen Carr as WIA rep.
I second.
right? Any other nominations? Hearing none, okay, roll call vote.
Rhonda Litzberger.
Aye.
Paulette Gilliardi,
Aye.
Ashley Silva,
Aye.
Travis Rush.
Right. And then we move on to the ledge rep. And I would like to nominate Ashley Silva.
Second.
Any other nominations? Hearing none, have the roll call vote.
Karen Carr,
Aye.
Rhonda Litzberger.
Aye.
Paulette Gilliardi,
Aye.
Travis Rush.
Aye.
Okay. So there we are. Board chair and vice chair for a year and ledge rep and WIA are 2-year positions. Thank you all for serving. All right, we'll move on to hearings of groups and individuals. And I have, where's the, oh, there it is. Almost lost you. Didn't mean to. Susan Gordon,
Where would you like me to stand again?
you want to just stand up here?
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, right
It's on the
here
camera.
in front of the lovely.
It's lovely. It is.
It is lovely.
Okay. I had a chance to look over the draft strategic plan presentation earlier today. And I think we need to aim high. It's great that we graduate 95% of our high schoolers, but are the majority literate, adept at mathematics, prepared to vote? Based on test scores, I'm not sure they are. Literacy is crucial, as is mathematical skill. Let's make sure our graduates have both by starting as young as possible. And we've got to emphasize civics to ensure that our graduates are ready to assume the responsibilities of citizenship in a democratic society. Furthermore, our graduates must discern the differences between opinion and fact, truth and propaganda, in whatever form, online and otherwise. Let's produce critical thinkers, yes. And the strategic plan ought to map out a way to measure our success in that endeavor. Thank you for listening, and I hope you take these suggestions to heart.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate your comment. And I'm sure you, we'll keep in touch and we'll be able to see how we're going.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. On to reports and presentations. Strategic plan. Are you there?
Lauren and Sarah. There they
It's
are.
technically of their time. They're on the East Coast, so we're
Yeah.
very thankful they're here.
Yeah, exactly.
We're here with a lot of caffeine. How are you? All right, I'm going to share my screen and we'll get right to it.
No, it's just the volume.
Well, good evening, y'all. It is wonderful to get to connect again virtually, and I'm going to apologize right now for the sound and quality of my voice. I'm getting over being sick, so thank you for bearing with me and listening to that. Lauren is going to do the majority of the talking, but I'm going to kick us off. Lauren and I are really excited and honestly honored to be able to present the strategic plan and portrait of a graduate content to you this evening. We know that this has been an incredibly collaborative process that has been driven by community input and feedback and has involved so many different members across the community to co-create this. And so the focus of this presentation tonight is to really inform on the plan content to make sure that we walk away from this conversation really aligned on what is going into the final PDF, both for the strategic plan and the portrait of a graduate. There will be some space at the end for us to talk about what we really like in these two plans when we think about the strategic plan and the portrait of a graduate, as well as some things that are still lingering as questions, wonderings, opportunities, especially as we move forward and start to think about implementation. So with that in mind, Lauren, is there any other framing you want to do to introduce yourself? I know we do have some maybe new members in the room, so just wanted to make sure to pause there.
Yeah, no, just wanted to, again, for those of you who haven't met us, Sarah is based in Little Rock, Arkansas. I'm based in Louisville, Kentucky. We're both senior consultants with education elements, and we specialize in strategic development and organizational strategy. And so, yeah, we're just happy to be here. And yes, we are a little bit behind you all. That's why it's a little dark where we are. But we just really appreciate you all being flexible and allowing us to join you virtually.
Thanks, Lauren. So here is our agenda for this presentation. We're going to do a quick check-in because if you are familiar with us, you know that we always love to begin every conversation with a check-in. And then Lauren is going to be talking about the process overview, what we did to be able to get to this final product today. And then Lauren and I are also going to be going back and forth talking about the content of the strategic plan, as well as previewing the 6 competencies, the attributes that went into the portrait of a graduate. And like I mentioned too, we'll close out with some reflections, questions, things like that. And then we will hop off and send you on your way. So let's hop into that check-in. This is something that we asked our steering team at the very beginning of the process. And knowing that we are nearing the end of it, we want to create some space for reflection. And so the question I want to pose to you this evening is, at the end of this process, what do you hope your plan says about your school district? So I'll give you a moment to think about that. And then we don't necessarily need to hear from everyone, but if a few people could pop out loud your answer to this question, that would be great.
Yeah, this is Superintendent Brower. I'd be happy to say that when it's all said and done, the thing that we desired and that we are proud of and that we always strive for is the fact that this is Eatonville strategic plan. You can go online and you can find anybody's strategic plan, and you could have saved a whole lot of work just to have cut and pasted it into our plan. And that would have been a strategic plan. But I think what I'm most proud of and what I'm excited for is the fact that we had almost 1,500 people involved in one way or another as we've devised this plan. And it's a great plan for our students, for our staff members, for our parents and families, and for our community to help our students get to the highest potential that they possibly can with their time here in the Eatonville schools from the minute they start, the first day of school to the day that they graduate, and then on into their future. And I think that's what I would want us to continue now to implement that as an Eatonville strategic plan, an actionable plan, which will help our students achieve to the very highest degree possible.
Sure. Is there anybody else who wants to comment? I don't want to. Okay. I hope that at the end of this process, again, the board has had, we have been really on the backside of this. It's been community driven and focused. And I've been really honored to see how the community has really been centered on children and making sure that we are going to offer them the very best that they can. And I think at the end of the day, we hope that and we know that we're going to commit to making sure that all the students are seen, they're valued, and they're supported, so that they can be outstanding citizens and that they can become lifelong learners. And I think as a community, I saw that reflected in the discussions that were had, and I'm really grateful for them.
I'm new on it and I had reviewed it and I went to one of the meetings. I just put that we have high standards and quality graduates. We believe all our students have the potential to succeed.
Anybody else? I guess that's it.
Thank you so much for those reflections, and also appreciate the co-facilitation since Lauren and I are not there in person. You're helping me to make sure that we have no awkward pauses while we wait for other people to respond. I just really appreciate those reflections, especially about the process and how this plan is truly Eatonville's strategic plan. And so with that in mind, I'm going to hand it over to Lauren to share what we did to get where we are today.
Yeah, that's right. I may be taking over the rest of this presentation. I don't know, Sarah. So yes, absolutely 100%, Mr. Brower. I almost came off mute and said, hey, you're stepping in on my slides, man, because you're spot on. You know, the reality is there are a lot of organizations who help school districts in the strategic planning process. And the reason why Sarah and I are where we are and we represent Education Elements is because the entire methodology is based on the people in the community. And we've said this over and over from the beginning. This is not Lauren's plan or Sarah's plan. It's not Education Elements plan. And it's not Mr. Brower's plan either. It truly is the work of the community. And so you can see our overall timeline for the process. You know, we started with just thinking about how we were going to involve the community. And you see that yellow circle there. We engaged our community for 4 weeks. Typically in other school districts, that window is only 2 weeks. But as we went through the process, we realized, oh, here's a group we didn't think about, or here's a way to engage this group that we hadn't thought about yet. And again, that was a reflection of this community and the leadership in the district who was constantly looking for ways to involve more voices and include more people in this process. So we spent a solid month distributing a survey and collecting those results, and then also engaging people in focus groups. And so the reason why we really emphasize this community engagement, especially right at the beginning, there are 3 main reasons. One, when we are invested in our community and we are engaging them at the beginning, we don't have to ask for buy-in at the end. And it sounds so silly to say that, but the reality is a lot of school districts engage in strategic planning this way. They write the plan behind closed doors for whatever reason. And then by the end of that process, they show it to the community and they're like, here's what we came up with behind closed doors, and beg for that buy-in at the end. But when people aren't part of the process and the process hasn't been transparent all the way through, it's hard for them to buy into what's going on. And so involving the community and having these updates with the board has been really important in getting that buy-in from the very beginning. And number 2, we were very strategic in how we selected our focus groups and participants. We made sure to include all stakeholder groups and invite, diverse people from different schools and backgrounds and experiences and years in Eatonville. So by having this strategic outreach at the very beginning, we make sure that we are including voices strategically and we're getting a true representation of Eatonville. And then last but not least, community engagement makes implementation easier. So if you have people involved from the very beginning and they're telling you what they want and they're telling you what they want you to invest your time and energy into, then they're going to also continue to help you in implementation and keep that momentum going. And so with that, we want to brag on Eatonville because these numbers are incredible. For a community your size to have 1,330 people complete that survey, that was amazing. And again, it shows the commitment of the community to making your school district better and also the district's commitment to involving voices. And of course, these numbers here on the right, that's just the breakdown of survey participants. The 314 parents and guardians, that was amazing. That was so great. But these numbers are even more cool, I think. They're not as big. Obviously, a survey has a larger outreach than one-on-one conversations. But if you think about how many hours we spent talking with people, and also how many people we spoke to and heard their stories and their ideas through focus groups, these numbers are pretty impressive too. So we spent a total of 16 hours talking to the community and gathering their feedback. And then we spent 28 hours in working sessions reading that community feedback, gathering the trends from that, and making it into an actionable strategic plan. So pretty impressive. A lot of thought and brain power went into this process. So we want to go ahead and show you the content. Before we do that, I use this metaphor a lot. A lot of people have questions about mission, vision, values. What's the difference? How do each work together? What is their role? And so we use this visual a lot just to kind of explain that relationship a little bit more. So if we're on a journey, we think of our mission as where we are currently. And you're going to see in a moment when we co-created the mission statement, which this board took an active role in doing. We looked at our strengths that exist already. What are we already known for? Who are we? What do people think of when they think of Eatonville? The vision is where we're headed. What do we want for our students at the time that they graduate? What kind of experiences do we want them to have? And when they graduate, who do we want them to be? And if we're on this journey to our vision, our pillars are the trails or the roadmap on how to get there. And then last but not least, our guardrails in decision-making as we're on this path. Those are our values. They're the ones that guide our decision-making and make sure that we're staying true to who we are and who Eatonville is. All right. So with that, we'll start with our mission. Again, when we drafted this mission, we considered Eatonville's strengths and what people love about your community. And so the Eatonville School District's mission is Eatonville schools inspire lifelong learners by providing opportunities for growth and academic achievement in a respectful and caring environment. And before I jumped into the content, I was just so excited. I just kept clicking next. I did want to pause and let you know our goal in this section, it might, we're going to try to talk as little as possible, but also make sure that we're covering those main points. And so the key thing here, we want to get through all the content first. And then like Sarah outlined earlier, we'll have a structure for giving that feedback and weighing in on what you heard and saw throughout. So as I'm going through these slides, be sure to take notes if there's something that you want to speak to or comment on. All right. Okay, so our vision. Obviously, our portrait of a graduate is going to play a big role in getting our students to this place where we want them to be by the time they graduate. That vision also plays a key role because we need to have a succinct vision like this one that's going to guide our direction. So again, when we wrote our vision, we considered, according to our community, what do our students need? What do we want to be known for? And what visual do we want people to see when they think of Eatonville School District? And so here is the vision that was created. Together with our families and community, Eatonville Schools will empower students to achieve excellence in education and future success. And then finally, our values, as I mapped out earlier, our values are our guardrails. So when we were drafting our values, we wondered, what does our community as a whole value? Not just the school district, but what does Eatonville value? What are our non-negotiables? When we're making decisions, what are our non-negotiable values, the things that we want to be sure to consider before making those decisions? And what values do we want to model for our students? And I want to pause here one more time. The mission and vision, one thing I wanted to note, the mission and vision was created with the board and also the steering team, which was made up of it's just a representative group of different stakeholders from the community. We had parents, we had a student on there, we had teachers, we had other staff members, we had leaders in the district and in the community, we had community members. So we really tried to get a representative group to serve on the steering team. And they put a lot of thought and time into this mission and vision, and especially these values as well. The care that this group took in selecting every single word and making sure that not only, again, it was value, they were all values we wanted our students to have, yes, but also the care they put into representing your community well it was unlike any conversation that I had seen a steering team have, especially in regard to values. We were blown away at how serious they took this charge and how much they cared about what they drafted here. So that was pretty awesome. So here are the 5 values that they landed on: respect, community, growth, belonging, and transparency. So here's where I'm going to pause, because here's where there starts to be a lot of text, and I'm going to ask for your feedback. I'm not sure if you have these slides in front of you, and also if you all have norms for virtual for board meetings, especially when someone's virtual. Would it be better for me and for the purposes of this meeting to read these pictures? Or would it be better for me to pause and give you time to read, or was the expectation that you've already read through all this content? I'm going to let you all choose.
I've read through it. I have read it.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we are all familiar with it. Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. So that's what we'll do at this point on. We'll give a high-level overview of the rest of the content, which is primarily those pillars. So I'm going to pass it over to Sarah to get us started in that conversation.
Yes, thank you, Lauren. And hopefully my voice does not disappear like it almost did right before I passed it to Lauren. So these are our pillars. We have 6 pillars when we think about what we aim to have be true over the next 5 years for implementation. So academic success, preparation for life, community and belonging, health and well-being, communication and transparency, and fiscal responsibility. And what you see on this slide is a description of how each of these pillars are defined. Again, that was co-created by the steering team and refined through conversation with the project team. And we also know that you as the board had opportunities to give feedback on this before we went to final with the PDF. So when we think about academic success, we can move into this next slide. Each of these slides will go into depth around the pillars by describing the impact statement. So what success will look like, what will be true as a result of this pillar being implemented with fidelity and effectiveness to achieve impact, how we're actually going to measure and monitor whether or not that impact has been achieved, and then the objectives that we are going to take to be able to realize that impact statement. So for academic success, this really focuses on promoting that culture of high academic expectations, student ownership, and demonstration of mastery, problem-solving skills, and resiliency. Other things that I would like to call out for academic success, you see for the impact metric that we are really thinking about measuring effectiveness and impact when it comes to academic success with student test scores and thinking about both growth data and student data. Really important to emphasize both growth and achievement when we talk about academic success for students. We can move on to our next pillar for preparation for life. And this pillar is really focused on thinking about having a clear pathway that ensures a seamless transition from public school to post-secondary opportunities for all students. And the way that we are thinking about success there is that every student will graduate ready to thrive in life after high school with the skills to navigate, adapt, and innovate for a sustainable future. Some of the ways that we are thinking about measuring implementation of this pillar: course credits that are offered, early warning system data, and student parent feedback when we talk about students being able to navigate critical transitions throughout their educational experience, as well as they get prepared to have a pathway when they graduate. And one more pillar before I pass it back to Lauren: community and belonging. This pillar, what success is defined as, is cultivating that development of students as engaged citizens with a sense of belonging and responsibility. One thing that I want to emphasize here that is true for all of these pillars is that you see a lot of coherence across the pillars, connecting to the mission, the vision, the values, and then the portrait of a graduate, which we'll talk about in just a moment. And I think that is a thing to be celebrated when we think about how ambitious and also achievable the strategic plan is. The coherence across all of these pieces really speaks well for the feasibility of being able to implement this really effectively. So I want to emphasize some of these words that you see here and how you've also probably seen them already elsewhere in other pieces of the plan. When we talk about community and belonging, success there, as we're thinking about monitoring that, focusing on support for emotional, behavioral, mental, and physical health, thinking about making sure that we're continuing to gather student input, especially through survey data, to be able to measure and monitor that effectively. With that, I'll pass it to Lauren to round us out with the last three pillars.
Okay, so with health and well-being, a lot of the conversation around this pillar, both with the steering team and in the community, was this pillar and the strategic objectives they felt needed to be brought out because of the connection to academic achievement. Knowing that a student's well-being is going to, when it is strong, the student has a higher chance of academic success, is one of the main reasons why this was put in. And so if you look at the impact statement, we will be successful when students access and utilize meaningful resources and opportunities. And that is represented in those strategic objectives. Back to what Sarah was just speaking to with community and belonging, mine and Sarah's job is to be the critical friend through this process. And so in nearly every pillar, something came up about, partnering with the community, making sure that the community, that we're leveraging the community to get the support that we need, and we're strengthening those relationships. It showed up in each pillar, obviously here as well. And Sarah and I had to push and say, you have a community pillar on its own. Do you really need to keep mentioning the community? And the answer was yes. Yes, that's who we are. That's what we're all about. So yes, the community does need to be in each of these. And here it is there with promoting student health and well-being, using that community, those community partnerships to bring some of those resources into the school, into the district was a key point here. Next, with communication and transparency, the community and a lot of the feedback talked about the increase in trust that was happening in Eatonville, and said a lot of that was coming through an increase in communication, but they wanted to see even more. And so the result was this pillar that focused not just on being sure to communicate and have that communication be two ways, to share out, but then also to receive that feedback. But the other important piece here is this transparency piece. We heard over and over, we want to know what decisions are being made and who's involved, and we want to be kept up to date. And so establishing trust through transparency and open communication was really, really the key to this specific pillar. And you can see that word trust and partnership, those trusting partnerships right there in the impact statement. And then finally, fiscal responsibility. Also have to call out the board and what happened in this situation. We originally did not have this pillar. When we first went through community feedback, that did not emerge as one of the primary themes from our community as a whole. But the board shared a great point and said, we understand the ins and outs of the fiscal responsibility that this board has and this district has, and we want to hold ourselves to that standard. And so they were proactive in not only highlighting the importance of having this pillar and including it on the strategic plan, but then also giving themselves that level of accountability and being proactive in that. And so that was also not something that we see in a lot of school districts, and I think needs to be commended here. And so with that, your sixth and final pillar is fiscal responsibility. And again, you can see in that metric, specifically wanted to call out that the school district's fiscal responsibility will be measured by ongoing monitoring to ensure that fiscal priorities are aligned to the strategic plan to achieve outcomes for all students. And I think, again, the highlight here is knowing that all of this content came from the community. The board is owning this fiscal piece and saying, we're going to make sure that our funds are allocated in these areas that the community says they want to prioritize. So I thought that was pretty great. Okay, and I'll pass it to Sarah for a portrait of a graduate. Almost there.
Thanks, Lauren. Before I frame a little bit about Portrait of a Graduate, one last thing that I want to name with those 6 pillars that we just spoke to is that they were ordered very intentionally to really emphasize what will be most proximate to students first. So when we think about academic success, preparation for life, community and belonging, health and well-being, those are things that are really proximate and impact students every single day. And also we know that this strategic plan needs to be something that speaks to the involvement and responsibility of everyone, from students to teachers to leaders and community members. And you can see that order with those pillars that speaks to what everyone's responsibility and role is when we think about everything from academic success all the way to fiscal responsibility. So jumping into Portrait of a Graduate, what is exciting about Portrait of a Graduate is that it's meant to be the North Star, so to speak, about what needs to be true for our students' experiences. The Portrait of a Graduate is meant to stay really evergreen and to not change. And when we think about a strategic plan, it's something that we want to update every 5 or so years to make sure that we are prioritizing what is most necessary at that moment and time and context to help us get closer towards realizing things like our vision and also these attributes for Portrait of a Graduate. So very similar to the process that was undertaken to create the plan content for the strategic plan, we also co-created this Portrait of a Graduate based off of feedback that we gathered from the community and then the work that we did with the steering team. And that led us to these 6 competencies: resilient learners, innovative problem solvers, effective communicators, skilled collaborators, real-world decision makers, and engaged citizens. And when we think about these attributes, these are something that's going to be integrated into students' everyday experience that will help to guide the instructional decisions that teachers are making and what students have access to when we think about the opportunities that are going to prepare them for success both within and beyond their school experience. When we think about what this will look like in terms of the final plan, This content will be a lot more in-depth. So in addition to these definitions that you see here on the screen, the Portrait of a Graduate will also include specific indicators that are used across the K through 12 experience, as well as summative statements that help to describe what the attributes look like for each grade band, and then also a community-facing resource that could help parents and family members and community members partner with students to ask them questions that help to guide them on their educational journey as they are developing each of these 6 attributes. So I'll pause here just for a moment for y'all to look at this content. And as Lauren mentioned at the top, we are about to go into our reflection. So get your notes ready because we're going to open it up for conversation and comment.
Can I just make a comment in the process? When I was able to, I didn't participate in the Portrait of Graduate developing these. However, I was able to see and to be a part of the conversations as you brought industry leaders in to help design the pre-K through 12 aspects of this. And so kind of to your point, there is much more depth, and there are benchmarks and matrix that aren't shown here that they did bring industry specialists in to really get down to the details on that. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. I know our community will value that input as well.
Thank you for adding that. So with that said, I think that is a great transition for us to move into the reflection portion. So Lauren and I just have 3 general questions that we want to open up for conversation. Again, the focus of this presentation is informing and aligning, knowing that the content of this plan has been finalized and we're in the process of getting those materials, that collateral ready. So what we're really curious to hear from you is, what do you like when you look at the content of the strategic plan and also what you've seen so far of the Portrait of a Graduate? What do you wish and what do you wonder? So you don't necessarily have to go in order, but those are the 3 questions that we want to pose to you to start this reflection.
Should be good. Yeah, and that's what I think, Lauren.
I think you're messing with us.
Seriously. But seriously, I think the thing I like again is that we have maybe between 5,000 and 6,000 people in our whole school district, and to have 1,500 people involved. I think you mentioned again and again that you just don't see that level of involvement for this small of a community or school district, and you don't see it even in really big school districts. And so I like that this isn't individually, it isn't my strategic plan, it isn't school board's strategic plan, it's everybody's strategic plan. And I like the fact that all the aspects of it do lead to high student achievement and wellness, which is, our reason for all being here. And I'm looking forward to having this be interwoven in the fabric of everything that we do over these next 5 to 7 years to make sure that our students get the highest level they possibly can. And we're going to be rolling this out and making sure that the whole school district, that everybody in the school district, all citizens, know what this is and how we can use it as a tool to get our students there.
On the Portrait of a Graduate, I really like that we are going to prioritize having resilient learners. I think that that's something that We know that we have work to do, and we know that it's going to be hard and a struggle for the students and also for our educators and those support staff. And we need to be resilient, and we need to be able to do hard things and to face hard things. I think it's really wonderful that that is right there at the very top of the work that we're going to do for students.
I like that the portrait of a graduate overlaps pretty well with the current Washington State Board of Education profile of a graduate, which means if that continues on its process, we wouldn't have to alter what ours is as it goes. This is a nice overlap.
As I read through everything, I kind of reflected and was on the same page with what Rhonda had said prior, that I wish, or I wonder about what the benchmarks are, and the deeper dive into how all this is going to be accomplished. So it would be, I really am looking forward to seeing the full thing. So, you know, I mean, I'm not just reading what the overall goal is I'm reading how are we getting there.
Mm-hmm. And I'd like to add to that, that as a board, we will be making district goals as a board and then for a district, and we will be choosing specific areas and then creating improvement plans. And
every part of that.
Yeah, and every school will have an based on the goals that we set forward from this work that the community's done, will really then do deep dives into how they're going to, you know, achieve those goals. We can't do everything at one time. We're going to prioritize, and
I'm excited to see all that.
it will be great work.
I think we've got a really good basis for doing just what Rhonda said. And I think that this plan will help us to stay with our due north and be able to take each step as we need to and work towards our ultimate goal to have very, very successful students and future leaders.
And I guess one more wish is, I wish this had been around when I was a student, because I love how comprehensive it is. And I think if it could have been before us, before, you know, our employees in the school district where I graduated from the very beginning, I think it would have, I think it could have, we could have gotten higher and been more well-rounded and more prepared for our future.
And this might be a redundant wonder, and I think we'll get into it more with probably building SIP plans, is just the measurables, how we measure, and then, you know, are we going to be beyond just ESPA data and growth data? What are the other measurables and tools we'll be using? And I'm pretty sure that'll be a SIP plan issue, not necessarily at this level, but just a twinge in my brain.
Pause here for any additional likes, wishes, or wonders, and then we'll get ready to close out. Okay, well, with that, we are going to close out. Just want to briefly say, Sarah and I, you know, some of you know this, some of you may not. Sarah and I have the opportunity to work in states across the country. Literally, Sarah works even more further west than Washington. She's even in Hawaii, often working in school districts there. So we literally are
coast to coast, working in school districts across the country. And I can honestly say that there is just something special about Eatonville. We thoroughly enjoyed our time there. We appreciate being welcomed, but more than anything, I think what it says is just who you are as a community, who you are as a school district. Every person we encountered had such a passionate love for this place and the students that you serve. And I think that it is reflected well in this strategic plan and Portrait of a Graduate. And Sarah and I just feel very, very lucky to have been part of the process. So thank you all. If you wouldn't mind, just wanted to have a few people to quickly share out just one word to describe how you're feeling after reviewing this strategic plan draft and even the Portrait of a Graduate. If you could just maybe do a quick whip around and share one word.
Hopeful. Okay.
Excited.
Challenged.
Ready to get to work.
I think it's awesome. I'm not on the board.
Thank
I
you.
think it's awesome that you're participating. Thank you.
Used your word.
Yes, that works.
Okay.
So you all are about this big. I can't see. Is that everyone?
Yes.
Sally and Allison, you guys had a
Go
lot to
ahead.
do with this. Did you have anything you wanted to add?
I would say energized. It's exciting for this new.
Yes, it gives us a great focus and direction.
Great. Well, thank you so much. And yes, to Rhonda's point, Sally, Allison, and Superintendent Brower, thank you all so much for your leadership in this process, as well as yours, Rhonda, and the voice that you've been in making sure that we're involving all these voices. All four of you have just been instrumental in this. So thank you all so much. And with that, unless you all have any more questions or need anything else from us, we'll say good night.
Thank you. Thank you very
Good
much
night.
for all the
Thank
hard
you.
work you put into it and for the direction you gave us to help us get where we are.
It was an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
And for the late nights.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to bed. Good night, everyone.
Okay, that was really good, and thank you, all of you, for your input, and we'll keep delving into it and moving forward. I'm excited. All right. No unfinished business, new business. Consider approval of travel for EHS wrestling team.
Trinity couldn't be here tonight, because she's busy coaching. They have 3 more of the wrestling tournaments left. And so we wanted to get them all on the agenda to get them approved, hopefully, so that the wrestlers can attend these tournaments.
We hear a motion to approve.
So moved. A second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And the next thing is we would like to show our appreciation for the student in need donation that was given to us by, look at the paperwork.
There's no paperwork.
Oh,
for
there's
it.
no paperwork.
This is from the Longshoremen's Union.
Longshoremen. Okay.
And they do this every year, from my understanding. They provide 2 $500 donations, and they work with the schools to find families in need that could use those donations for Christmas.
Okay. Thank you.
He's got the gift cards delivered today.
Fun.
They were two $200 gift cards to Fred Meyer for 2 students in need at each of the 3 elementary schools. It's very generous. They've been doing it for many years.
Great. That's great. And so we don't have to vote on that.
No, it's just appreciation.
Yeah, just let them know how much we do appreciate their constant and continual involvement. Caring for students in All right, on to C, consider approval of revision to policy 3424, opiate-related overdoses.
And I could actually speak to that,
Yes.
in the absence of Heidi, but having worked closely with Heidi on this, one of the things that, as we noted in our current policy, is that it was limited to, just a couple of facilities, secondary facilities. But I'm guessing that since the time that we first started this, that we've added some new facilities, such as our grits program, first our farm, and we also know that there are times we gather a lot of people together for a football game or for for a different assembly and such. And so our thought was that we should broaden this to make sure that our policy reflects that we can utilize what could potentially save lives across our all district facilities, whether it's north, south, east, or west, whether it's in a building or whether it's at an event anywhere.
So I don't see that amendment has been made to the policy.
We only changed a few words in the policy.
So it, at least one set of opioid overdose reversal medications doses in each of its high schools is what this one says. Is there a revised one that I'm not seeing?
Mistake. I did revise it.
Okay, we just don't have it in our packet.
Right, but it should reflect, and we may
It will.
need to bring it back a second time, but it should reflect all district-owned facilities.
I'll look into that. I apologize.
If you have it, we could just print it and approve it, because I know we talked about it. I think it's a great idea. You mentioned middle school was going to be listed on there. It's just not on the.
Yeah, we
packet that
just
have here.
changed it to reflect the word like facilities and campuses instead of high
Okay.
school and middle school.
So if you
let
could
me-
print one
let's see
out,
if I can bring that real
that would be great. No sense in waiting, because
Yeah.
it's imperative that we have it in where it needs to be.
Thank you. Thank you. As she's doing that, it might be noted that we received a recent donation from Not One More, which is a former principal I used to work with in another district north of here. So several boxes, as well as the boxes of Eatonville, as well as Narcan. And so we are very grateful for that. That saved us some money, and like I said, it saves lives.
It's never needed.
Yes, maybe have it if we ever need it.
Yeah.
I apologize for that oversight. Heidi and I worked on this together and we just missed one word. It looks like.
That happens. It's important work, so we just want to make sure we get it done. So So if you can bring positions for amendments, they can say like. Otherwise, lawyers. Yeah, okay. Yep. And then. So. Let's decide. Okay. And then.
Yeah, so.
Ah. Okay. All right. Um, We did not. Sorry. Okay.
I still gotta choose.
Yeah, all right. Consider a motion to approve the revision to policy 3424.
Motion. Second?
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Thank you, Ashley and Sadie and Jay for working on this and for the generous donation.
Appreciate that. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to superintendent comments.
Well, I do have a few things. Maybe Dylan Norman's not here to say a whole lot of things, so I'll say a few things. He's always so good about that. I wanted to, I don't often do this, but I did want to read the letter that I put together about the strategic plan to make sure that it's and student wellness, Eatonville students will achieve their academic goals and be prepared for a lifetime of success as they pursue their future goals and dreams. I want to thank the 1,330 students, parents, staff, and community members who completed the survey, identifying the educational priorities for the Eatonville schools in our community. I also want to thank the 84 members of our focus groups who analyzed the survey results and generated 36 pages of notes. That was size 9 font. It really was. It was size 9 font. By the way, it would have been more if we had not done that size. To summarize our values and priorities, some 34 people then provided feedback on the proposed plan to move forward. Next, 21 members of the steering committee and the board of directors met several times to analyze and operationalize those notes and draft our strategic plan. Finally, various planning team members represented the groups listed above, operationalized the focus group notes, and finalized our plan. I want to acknowledge and thank Lauren and Sarah, Educational Elements, for guiding us through this process and helping us make this plan an Eatonville strategic plan that we own, unique to our students and our community. Finally, I want to thank our dedicated board of directors. Thank you, along with Sally Keeley and Allison Berthman, for leading this process over the last 10 months. After reviewing thousands of responses from our community, collaborating with our steering team, and championing this cause or this work alongside our board of directors, my personal commitment as your superintendent is to ensure that this strategic plan is implemented so that we can realize the following promise and quest. Our promise: every student will be known, valued, and supported. Our quest: discover and promote the student interests that motivate and encourage movement toward academic and human potential. In summary, after nearly a year involving some 1,500 people and thousands of hours of dedicated and focused effort, our 5-year strategic as we work together to implement the strategic plan that we created together, Eatonville Strong. So that's, now you'll start to see this will, in addition to who's been a part of this thus far, now we'll start to roll this out as we said when we began. Mr. Eichen, and I asked, they asked, what do you look for in this plan? I said, I want it actionable. Because if it's not actionable, then we're just going to take a lot of time and it's going to be nice. It's going to look good on paper. But if it's not actionable, then I'm not interested. And so it has to really move people toward that student achievement. Okay, so now you'll start to see it roll out, and we'll start to kind of put flesh on the bones here and make sure that we get this, get our students to the very highest level. I would also like to just note that I'm always impressed with the talent of our student performers and leaders. So I've been to each of the campuses for assemblies and different performances, and I guess I'm just kind of blown away by how talented our students are out here, and also how dedicated our employees are to make sure, our advisors and others, to make sure that they really look good on stage, or they look good on the field or wherever they are. I'd like to note I was really excited for the onboarding of both Travis and Karen, and I just want to say I'm looking forward to being a part of this team with you, and that we can all join together with our three standing members, and now we have 5 again, and we're excited about that, and we're looking forward to doing some really great things all together. So I really appreciate you giving your time, to commit to the onboarding process. I attended the football banquet the other night, and I will say that it's the longest banquet I've ever been in my life. And the reason, and I say that I say that for emphasis, that it was about 2.5, 3 hours, and it was literally every single student athlete was recognized, and sometimes multiple times, just for any part that they had. And some of it was for what they did on the field, but a lot of it was for what they did off the field or on the sidelines to support those that were on the field. And I just kept hearing that theme over and over again. And I just wanted to note that that is the level of dedication we have from our staff members, is just like that. I've seen that again and again across the school district. That's just amazing. In as much as you passed our resolution for upcoming propositions 1 and 2, our levy, our educational programs and operations levy, as well as our capital levy, we're working really hard to educate our employees, our students, our community members, everyone. And Allison has just done a really great job. She's been working really hard. So we have these posters. They're front and back, and they'll start to talk about the different things that our levies cover, and what we're proposing. And we've been doing some other presentations out in the community, and we'll continue to do so, as many as we possibly can. Look forward to having some of you with me actually Wednesday morning. So that's two mornings from now, and we'll just keep working on getting that out. We want to make sure we have informed constituents, so we have informed voters, and so we'll be working really hard to get the information out there so that people can vote their conscience at that point. Just a couple other quick things that I wanted to know. Let's see. Yeah, I think the only other thing is that we have great support from our different clubs, and we saw some of it tonight. But the Lions Club, which I'm happy to be a member of, I just want you to know that, decided to go to some of our activities, and just gave $1,000 to each of our 5 schools for a different area. The elementary, they're interested in making sure our library were well taken care of, and science at the middle school level. And I'm excited that we will have, and we've been to some of these schools, Creston, Eatonville Middle, and Eatonville Elementary School, and we'll just keep rolling those out. So I'm really thankful for the support we get from our different service groups, and from different people in the school community in general. That's been something I've been really proud of. It just shows the connection that we have, as well as the support that we do have from our community. And as they said, as Lauren's, the level of commitment, or the level of pride in a small community like this. And early on I said, just get used to it. It'll be on throughout the strategic planning process. You'll see that, so just get used to it.
That's all I have today.
Okay, thank you. Student reps aren't here this evening. They're busy with other projects and things going on. And so going to board of director comments, and I'd like to hear from either of both of our new board members. There's something you'd like to comment on?
I'm gonna go first.
I just want to say how grateful I am to be here and to be a part of making things better and growing with the district.
Yeah, I'll be as quick as I can. I can usually be long-winded, but I just wanted to thank Mr. Marshall and Mr. Ackerman for their service before we got here on starting the process of the strategic plan. I'm really looking forward to that for you as a roadmap and for us, and to hold us accountable to a larger plan. I think it's 10 years since we did the last one. It was 8, so it was time. And I think it started a pretty decent process at that time. So I'm excited for us to have something to anchor our SIP plans to and our board plans to, and I cannot thank them enough for that. And I know that the last 4 years with COVID, it must have been very rough to be in this seat. And so I applaud them, and I can't thank them enough for their service, and I'm happy to be here and work with everybody. And I'm really excited about the overdose Narcan situation. I think that's a lot larger than people realize and happening in a lot of places. So I think that's going to be a good impact that we hopefully never have to use. So.
All right.
Well, I will actually speak today.
Good for you.
I'm usually very quiet. I am going to speak on the opioid approval of the revision and everything. I am extremely excited about this. If anybody knows me, they know that I will always find a way to talk about the crisis that we have right now. It is near and dear to my heart, only because I had somebody very close to me that was affected by it. So this is something that I have been kind of pushing for, and I absolutely appreciate the fact that you guys have listened to me, because I know that it doesn't seem like it's actually hit our tiny little town, but it has, and I know firsthand. And it might not hit exactly the way that we think it will, but just one kid can accidentally take something that they don't know they could think it's a Tylenol, and they will not wake up the next day. I was very lucky that I woke that person up. And it's a very emotional thing for me. So I appreciate the NARC coming in, because although they NARC'd this person 6 different times, it is something that can save one child. One parent might not even know how to use it properly, but if we can do the training, if we could do the training for the staff, this might actually save much more lives than we can even imagine. And it's something that is definitely needed right now. And this is not just for our district, it's actually nationwide. Absolutely. So it's the not one more and the one pill can kill. Both organizations, you guys can look them up. They are amazing. And this is going to help us out tremendously. So I am very grateful that we were able to do this. I hope we never have to use it. Although I personally know that I have had to use it. So it is something that we should train our parents on and what to look for. So I appreciate this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley, for sharing that and for pushing forward like you did. No,
I was a little pushy about it. Sorry.
I was trying. It was wonderful. It was wonderful.
And anybody who knows me knows that I will forever find a way to get this into a conversation. It doesn't matter to me that parents don't want to talk about this. This is something that we all need to talk about and to save our children. So it's very near and dear.
Thank you.
I too would like to thank Matt and Corey for their dedication and time. It's not been easy to be on the board, and it's been a lot of work, and so very grateful for their time. And welcome Travis and Karen to the team of 6. One of the greatest honors and friendships have come from sitting at a table with multiple now school board members. And when we are a team of 6, it's amazing the work and impact we can have on children. And so I'm so grateful for you and for you stepping up and being willing to do the hard work. Speaking of hard work, Sally and Allison, oh my goodness.
Yes.
The strategic plan, your own personal workload, communications, being a principal, you guys have just been over the top. And so my gratitude to you is more than I could ever express. And I hope that we honor the hard work that you've done as we implement the strategic plan and really help our children succeed. And thank you for the work that you're doing and helping us inform and educate our community on the levy as well. So I'm looking forward, if there are any community members out there that have any questions, we're really looking forward to partnering and answering those questions so that we have informed voters. That's it.
Okay. All right. And I would like to, of course, echo what everybody said. And really do appreciate Sally and Allison for all the extra time and energy and thought and work, hard work that you put into this. And it has not gone unnoticed at all. And we just want to publicly thank you. I also want to publicly thank Matt and Corey. They were not only very, very good board members and good at what they did and dedicated to what was good for kids, but they were fun too. Fun to be with. And during the time that they served, you know, especially Matt and Ashley coming on board at the time with COVID and what was going on in the world at that time, I really have to applaud you actually for sticking with it. And Matt too, for sticking with it, you know, and making that happen. And you know, looking forward to working with Travis and Karen and building our team again. And just like Gil, who was did our onboarding for us, and like you said, when one new board member comes on, we have 2 new board members come on, you're a whole new team, you know. And so we're going to build that new team and be strong and resilient and move this district forward. So, you know, and I don't know if you any of you heard the report. Bethel School District had an issue with a band bus or a music bus. It was on the news, and the way they turned that into something good. And I think we do that here in Eatonville. I think we take something that appears to be negative and total disaster and make something good out of it. And that's what our goal is going to be this year, is to do that. And just as a side note, one of our new bus drivers, who's also a bus trainer, is a gal that I have known since she was 8 years old. And I had not had contact with her for the last few years. And we have now gotten back in touch. I spent an hour with her at the bus garage visiting and getting reacquainted. And it's just a joy and a pleasure. And she came to us from Bethel. So, and she's going to be a real asset, you know, because especially a trainer, that'll help Bonnie a lot too, you know. So I'm excited. I'm excited for our new bus drivers and our new people who are coming on board. When you hear and read about what's going on in other districts with bus situations, I mean, it's a nightmare. And not only in this state, but all states. I mean, it's a nightmare situation. And so very thankful for Jay for what you did in the meeting with people and getting things up and running, you know, getting things going, and you know, didn't just sit back and wonder and wait. That's what we need to do. And you know, and I want to publicly thank Jay. He's put in so much time and energy. I'm a little worried about him. But he's got what it takes. He's going to do it. So, and thank you, Rhonda and Ashley, for being supportive and working hard and making things happen. You know, we've been making things happen even with COVID. So we're a good board, and we're going to be an even better one. So, and that's all I have. And so if there's nothing else, then we will adjourn this meeting at 8:19. That's my goal.